Caroline Regan, Jenny Gingras, Hazel Nurse is on the video screen behind us, and we have Anne Marie Decker to my right. Do I have to read any special things? No, right? Because this is all in person.
Right.
All right, so the first item we were going to talk about was 171 Milk Street and 221 to 223 Turnpike Road, but I think we'll skip that for now and go to 50 Flanders Road, because that is just a continuation. So,
Second, John?
Yep.
Jenny's just has an audio.
What's that?
There's an audio issue.
Can I hear an echo? There's always an echo in here.
No,
Yeah,
from
I
your
heard.
computer.
Yeah, we can hear an echo, but I can understand you, Joan.
All right.
I just muted.
Good?
Yes.
All right. So we have a request for a continuation to January 20th, this is 2025, it should be 2026. Do I have a motion to continue?
Now I
the
don't hear
hearing to
anything.
January 20th, 2026.
Second.
Can you hear it now?
Yep, I can hear you, Jenny, now.
And Hazel,
Yeah,
are you a yes?
I can hear you. It's a little hard, but not bad. Just
Okay, we're
Speak up.
voting to continue the hearing for 50 Flanders Road.
We're voting to continue the hearing for 50 Flanders
Right.
Road.
Is that a
okay.
yes?
Is that a yes?
Yes.
All right, 5-0.
Yeah. Hold on, John. Now she can't hear on her screen from Westborough TV.
Okay.
So just one second. Okay, try it again.
Try what?
I can hear you better now, John.
Okay,
Yeah, now I can hear you. Okay.
all right. Do we want to move on to Post Road Residential? Okay. Post Road Residential, you're up.
Are you still there?
We're here, Hazel.
Hold on.
Give us a minute.
TV, she can't hear us on.
Now I can't hear.
Hold on, it disconnected again.
All right.
You have to sign the waiver, because you wouldn't be able
And she can't see the screen.
Do you guys have a presentation or anything that we can get set up, or is it just?
We do, we're happy to be patient, just so we can get our fifth member fully able to hear and see. I just want
I
to,
mean, do you have like a on-screen presentation, or is it just going to be? Okay,
no.
all right, we can wait then.
Hear us, Hazel?
I can hear now. I don't know, there's nothing on the screen. Yeah, nothing on the screen I can see.
I wonder if she does like the hand raise. I don't know if she can, up at the top. I guess you can hear us, Hazel. If you hit the hand raise button, then maybe you can unmute and we can have double audio for a second if she
I'll
has
hit the
something
raise.
to say.
Okay, hit the raise?
Oh, I hear something. I just think their volume is.
Yeah, I mean, I can hear you all fine.
Okay.
Yeah. It's coming.
Okay.
Try again, Hazel.
I can hear you all fine. Do I need to hit the hand raise also? Christina, did you
So
suggest
maybe
that?
get started and then
Yeah.
while they're.
Yeah, go ahead.
Figuring it out.
great.
We'll
As long as
figure
she
it out.
can hear us and see us, then
Right.
that works for me.
I can hear.
So for the record, Brian Falk, an
There.
attorney with Myrick, with our office at 1800 West Park Drive in Westborough, here on behalf of the applicant, Post Road Realty LLC. I'm glad I'm not the only person who struggles with Microsoft Teams. Usually I'm the one who can't get through, so I will be eminently patient. So this is a continued public hearing from December. Since that continued public hearing, we've had several comment letters come in from town committees and officials and some peer review results. We also had a site visit today with town officials and board members at both the north parcel and the south parcel. Tom Montelli here with me from Post Road Realty is going to address some of the town and board comment letters. And then our site civil engineer from Hancock Associates, Joe Pesnola, is with us. He plans to address the peer review comments that we received. And then we're happy to do questions and answers with the board and bring up any member of our team that would be helpful answering those questions. Tom?
Thank you, Brian. As Brian mentioned, I just want to take a few minutes to review two sets of comments from two different committees that we've received comments from in the past week or two. The first is the Active Transportation and Safety Committee, and I want to provide 2 or 3 clarifying comments in response to that committee's memo. The first is that our parking waiver was based solely on parking demand. That parking demand was quantified by our nearby projects in Marlborough that are very similar in nature, and the parking ratio that we designed our project to was almost identical to that, and we understand that that parking ratio meets the demand of a very nearby project sufficiently, as well as the parking ratio we've proposed in Westborough is slightly higher, but similar to previously approved projects, multifamily projects in Westborough. On traffic safety and traffic impacts, the traffic impacts were studied. There is a traffic impact analysis study on the record, and at a high level, two conclusions of that study, which respond to some of the comments from this committee, were one, that the infrastructure in place is sufficient for the traffic of both the north and the south parcel, and that other as-of-right uses allowable via special permit on these sites would produce more onerous traffic conditions than what we're proposing. And lastly, I just want to recognize ongoing discussions with the town on potential infrastructure improvements along Milk Street. Those conversations have been going on for some time, are ongoing, and if we're lucky enough to get approved, the goal is to collectively pursue a state infrastructure grant to improve that public infrastructure along Milk Street. Moving on to comments we received from the Affordable Housing Trust, a memo of these responses will also be sent to the board. First and foremost, I want to make it very clear that our goals, our intent is very much aligned with the mission statement and the goals of the Affordable Housing Trust, which is to create new affordable housing. Our discussions with the Affordable Housing Trust started roughly 5 months ago, and between then and late September, there was ample dialogue, many in-person meetings, financial models traded and discussed between the trust members and Post Road. And after this, and after one of our last in-person meetings, we believed that consensus was reached on a deal that worked for the mutually aligned goal of creating more affordable housing units, and we sent a proposal to the trust with those details. I think it's fair to have differing opinions on how to achieve that aligned interest of creating new housing units, new affordable housing units. It's our opinion that the quote, supply side housing economics solution is the most efficient long-term solution to bringing affordable housing units to a community like Westborough, which in summary means a project that has mixed income units has to be economically feasible in order to bring both market rate and affordable units to a community, as opposed to an alternative approach which might be classified as the demand side housing economic solution, which is focusing on perhaps a single project and trying to get as much affordable units in one at a time. It's our opinion that over the long term, the most efficient way to do that is to create more housing and therefore create more affordable housing doing that. The last thing that we will note in the memo in response to the Affordable Housing Trust is that it's reasonable, in our opinion, that the trust's basis for their response and recommendations to the board was based on the RKG economic feasibility analysis study. If that's the case, there are 2 points I would like to highlight there. The first is, as we've stated on record and discussed with various board members, we identified flaws in the data used in that study, which, in our opinion, made the conclusions of that study misleading and essentially made the conclusion that 20% affordability is not feasible. Recently, in the past week, we were able to discuss that data and those findings with RKG, and in the memo, it will describe what that discussion was about. But in summary, our RKG professional confirmed that sensitivity analysis to test higher construction costs against their conclusion of economic feasibility was not done. We presented information that stated construction costs on live projects nearby have construction costs that are significantly higher than the cost used in the study, and RKG responded that they think that's extremely reasonable, and that if the RKG study was tested against higher construction costs, the conclusions could likely be different. So we are going to send that information to this board in response. But again, our goals are very much in line with trying to create more affordable housing units in Westborough. With that, and we look forward to question and answer after, I will hand it over to Joe Pesnola of Hancock to provide the board an update on the peer review.
Good evening. For the record, again, Joe Pesnola from Hancock Associates. Since the meeting on December 2nd, we have been diligently working on memorandums that we received from CEI, your peer review engineer, that we got on December 1st. That also included some comments from the Conservation Commission and some very technical comments from Chairman Koningsberg from the Conservation Commission regarding the soil testing and the mounding analysis. A lot of it centered around the stormwater. So on December 9th and 10th, we did some additional, quite a bit of additional testing on site, as well as gathering of soil samples at each test location. There's a requirement from the Conservation Commission under their mounding analysis policy to utilize sieve analysis to understand the permeability of the soil and the parameter that's used in the mounding analysis. So that took a little bit of time to get those samples out to the laboratory and get that information back and have us look at that. And just the Conservation Commission has jurisdiction over the south site, but CEI is applying the same standards that the Conservation Commission utilizes and Westborough utilizes on both sites. So we did sieve analysis on all of the testing on both sites. So once we get that data back, we looked at the input parameters on the for the mounting analysis and redid at least initially the south parcel system mounting analysis. And then on December 22nd, we had a meeting with the town engineer and representatives of CEI to talk about the results of the testing, the results of the sieve analysis, and the revised input parameters for the mounting, just so that we were all on the same page. And I won't go into the very technical details of what those parameters are and what the results are, but safe to say that, you know, we're all on the same page and moving forward towards getting them the information on the stormwater management system. Safe to say the south site, the stormwater management approach and the design is not going to change, and the mounting analysis, the reanalysis of the mounting will satisfy the requirements. And on the north site, some of the testing did impact the configuration and location of the drainage system, so there will be some changes there that we're working through now. And we're hopeful by the end of this week to have a full response to the CEI letters, the Conservation Commission letters, with revised plans and revised stormwater analysis. The commentary really did center greatly around the stormwater. Some of the other issues that were brought up in the engineering department's letter had to do with the water connections and the looping of the water mains on site and where those connection points were. So we'll be addressing that in accordance with the engineering department's recommendations. And I think one of the other issues was the location of the dog park over one of the infiltration systems on the south side, and whether or not there was going to be any interaction between dog waste and that infiltration system, which might impact the neighbor to the south. And we discussed that on the 22nd with Lisa, and we think we have a solution to that that was acceptable to them, and we'll be detailing that on the revised plans. By and large, none of these changes, none of these addressing any of these comments will change the basic configuration of the site, the number of parking spaces, the entrances, the circulation. So safe to say there's no impacts there. As was noted at the site walk today, you know, we are revising the north site plan with regards to the entrance on Turnpike to make that just a right entrance in with no exit out, in accordance with the preliminary discussions with Mass DOT on that. So the plans will also reflect that change. So as far as Conservation Commission, the schedule, we've got a meeting next on the 15th. So we're hopeful that we can get these responses and these items to CEI and have a good meeting then. And I'm quite certain that by our next meeting with your board, we'll be in good shape, and hopefully CEI can report to you that, you know, we've satisfied all of that. Bottom line is there's nothing in there that we can't respond to, that we're not going to provide the information, that we're opposing. And again, none of it will result in changes to the basic configuration of both the north and the south sides.
All right, thank you. Anything else from the applicant?
No, I think we were going to allow for question and answer, public comment.
Sure. Any questions from the board?
I've got questions.
Yeah, I had a question.
I'm just kidding. Thank you for that. That was helpful. I had a question as I was looking through. I think this was from CEI. From the DPW on the sewer pipe. So in reading, and this is maybe just me not quite understanding next steps from this document, but in reading it sounds like the pipe is in need of repair. But then when I read the next steps, it doesn't mention, it just mentions needing like a sign off, but I guess that's assuming that pipe is being repaired. Do you mind just giving a little bit more?
No, I think we did discuss that at the meeting on the 22nd, and it's a matter of the engineering department, DPW, recognizing that the pipe is old,
Yep.
and that portions of it that they have studied is in disrepair. They just don't know what the timing is on their repairing it. They're not saying that we can't tie into it until it is repaired. And repair with some of these old lines is one of two ways to repair it. The easiest way is to slip line it.
Sure.
They go into the manholes and they insert a plastic tube, and then they heat it up, and it repairs the line and also takes out any infiltration from surrounding groundwater. And the other way is obviously more expensive, and that's to totally replace the line. So they don't have enough information to say exactly
What then? Okay.
what the repair will be, and what the time frame. So we'll continue to work with DPW, with regards to that study and that determination and coordination with regards to the need first, and then the timing on
Okay.
any repair that's there.
So what is that, I guess, what are the implications from a timing standpoint? So if they say this is on our list, but not, and it's number 10 on our list, but what if they don't get to that, I guess?
I would hope that if the answer is the pipe is so bad, you can't tap into it until it's repaired, then it would be pretty high on the list. Because if that's the case, then it's about to fail altogether, and the people that are already on it would be impacted. So I think it's just continuing to work on that, and hopefully what the findings of the additional study that DPW will do is that the sections that we need to tie into aren't that far gone. They can be tapped into, they can support the project, and then yes, at some point when it rises to the priority list, that they come by and either slip line or replace.
Okay, that's helpful. Another question I had was from the ATSC comments, which you've addressed some of those. Most specifically, in talking about the green space. So what percentage of the current plans are green space? Is that the 30%?
Yeah, slightly above 30,
Okay.
between 30 and 31 and a half, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's maybe a valid concern to think, given that this is not a walkable area, that potentially for the number of people within the units, that there may be need for more. I guess, is there any discussion around what that potentially could be, or were there any, I guess, next steps or conversations from you based on that portion of their comments?
Our experience with these types of buildings is that a roughly 20,000 square foot courtyard is extremely comfortable and ample open space, our internal courtyards for our buildings.
Yep.
Tons of light gets into these units. A lot of activity happens in these courtyards, And we've never heard once any concern about a lack of open space. And I would also say, if you look at a lot of similar modern apartment communities, the average for open space is probably 20 to 30%, 20 to 35%. So it's our experience that 30% open space is a very comfortable and sufficient open space requirement.
Okay, that's helpful. The only other thing I had, which was not specific to these comments, we talked about it a bit at the last meeting, but in talking about the, from a sustainability standpoint, to get that reduction in green space, and the plans for like the point system in terms of that trade-off. I think there was a comment about there was a recommendation, I think, that the LEED certification went from the 4 points to 2, which maybe puts us under the 12, I think. Or there was a comment, I think, and a recommendation that that the LEED certification gets 2 instead of 4, since I think there isn't an expectation or a requirement to fulfill it.
Yeah, that is accurate, but I think in total, the number of points that they were requesting were more than the 12, so
Okay.
they didn't need the full points on the LEED certification.
Okay.
But the sustainability coordinator had made a comment that those full points shouldn't be given unless they received the LEED certification.
Got it, okay.
But they were already above the 12
The requirement for the
points.
12, okay, that's helpful. The other comment I have on that, I had raised it last time, but considering that there is no sheltered parking, asking for consideration of solar-covered parking. I know in Europe, just within the last year, there have been a lot of legislation changes. No, we're not in Europe, right? But to require in some countries and to strongly encourage in others the covered parking. I know just personally where I work, the covered parking spots, which are solar covered, right? They're first to go in the winter. So I'm wondering if that could be explored, given there's no covered parking and there's snow.
Jenny, if I could have access, I want to answer both of Christina's questions, and I think the first one would be best if I was able to share. There we go. And Christina, I believe I tried to present this
Yes.
the first time, and I had some troubles with Teams. So this is the support document that we put together to show how we comply with the open space reduction. And what this goes through is essentially each category that the bylaws suggest for different points.
Yep.
And then columns annotating whether or not we are going to comply or achieve, that category. What we also did, because the bylaws allow for this or suggest this flexibility, is highlighting the other sustainable design measures we typically put in our buildings. So what we have here is a total points of 18. 12 is the threshold for the open space waiver. As you mentioned, whether or not the LEED certifiable compliance is 4 or 2, we would still comply. And that's before including any of these other true sustainable measures that should be worth some quantifiable point that aren't currently anticipated in the bylaws. So this is the backup documentation that I believe we provided on the record, providing support for our open space waiver. On solar, we certainly will consider solar measures. It's something we've done before. We believe in it, and we will continue to analyze whether, roof systems or carport systems are most efficient. But
Okay.
we will certainly continue to think about that.
Okay, thank you.
welcome.
Final question. We had talked, one of the other items we mentioned last time was accessibility versus wheelchair accessible. Will you have any wheelchair accessible unit? So, the lower counters, different kind of formats to be able to also adhere to, or to,
Yeah, yes, we will.
okay.
If you would like more specific, a more specific response, which is warranted for an important topic, let me ask Seelan to elaborate.
Great, thank you.
Introduce yourself.
Hi, for the record, Sealant Potter, Pineville Architecture. So yes, it's a fully accessible building. There are two types of accessibility, type A and type B.
Yep,
Type A being more stringent by code, you need 10% of that, and 90% of them be type B. Type Bs are adaptable, meaning that you can
Right.
adapt it to be accessible. Type As already have some sort of built-in accessibility, like the 34-inch high countertops you just mentioned. So they're all accessible, one at a higher level than the other.
okay. But then, yes, within that, whatever the 10% or whatever the smaller percentage is, it is,
The countertops alone,
Right,
34
okay.
inches. Yep. Your wood
and the door
surfaces,
frames and,
door frames at 36 inches as opposed to 34
okay,
for the lower threshold. Yes.
Okay.
The higher threshold has bigger doors.
perfect. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Very welcome.
Has her hand raised.
Hazel, can you hear us?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Can you speak?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I might need to plug mine.
All right, Hazel, we're trying to get you
Okay,
your audio working, so just hold on a second if you can hear us.
okay.
All right, Hazel, can you try?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Still really
Hello?
quiet.
I'll turn my up more if I can. Let's see. Uh-oh. Can you hear me?
Somewhat, we can hear you.
Somewhat, okay.
The room can't.
I might have to talk through Jen.
Very low.
Yeah. Oh, it's coming.
All right.
I don't think
No, it's
so.
No.
coming out from there.
Yeah.
Oops.
Can you put
So I-
her on your computer? So that she can speak?
Yeah, I'm on my
Put the
computer.
microphone up to it.
Let me see. Hazel, can you speak again?
Yeah, can you hear me?
If she wants to ask the question, we can maybe repeat it also, because I can hear.
Okay. Jen, can you hear me through, Jenny, can you hear me through your computer?
No.
We can hear you,
Can
but
hear
it's
you.
just very quiet.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know how to turn it up any further than what I have.
Hazel, do you
All
want
right.
to try and call my cell phone? I can put my cell phone up to the microphone.
There you go.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's. It worked last meeting.
Yeah.
What's your number, John? John? Or I can call Jenny's number?
Yeah, you can call my number also.
All right, let me call you then.
Jenny, I think you could also probably put it on transcribe, and then it would show up.
Okay, Hazel, we have you on the phone.
Okay, you got
Can
me?
you put her next to a microphone?
You'll have to,
Mute your computer.
All right, I've muted.
That's better. Yeah.
Try that.
All right, now we can hear you.
Okay.
Okay, we can hear you.
Okay, all right. My basic question at the moment, the one that I'm still sort of outstanding for me, is the height of the buildings. And I know that they're looking at 4 stories. What I'm grappling with is how this is going to look on Route 9 and the surrounding area. I almost need some sort of an architectural drawing or something that will tell me if I'm on Route 9, driving down Route 9, what am I going to see on the north and or east and west, north and south sides? What it's going to look like. What I do not want, quite frankly, is looking at something like a reef up at the corner of Otis Street. And I'm wondering if the applicant for the next meeting can give me some sort of a rendering that'll give me an idea of what this 60-foot building is going to look like as you're driving down Route 9.
Tom, do you want to pull something up on the screen?
Yes, Hazel, this is Tom. Can you hear me?
I mean, this is something that hasn't really been discussed much, and I apologize
Oh, stay on the phone.
for bringing it up so late and that I was not able to be there today. But it has been a concern of mine just for appearance and what we're actually looking at. I mean, often, we get things built on Route 9 and then we look at it and we say, oh, that's not quite what we thought it was going to look like.
Hazel, I'm gonna mute you on here so you can unmute your computer so you can hear Tom.
Okay.
Okay. Hazel, I'm not sure if you can hear me, but,
You can.
okay.
Yeah.
So Hazel, 2 things to preface the response. The first is something we're very proud of is in terms of the design aesthetic and how we thought about what the architecture of these buildings should look like. I think we've presented to this board previously that Binefield Architecture, Sealand, Post Road, studied a book written by a gentleman named Phil Kittredge, who's a Westborough native, who wrote a book about the historical culture and the architectural history in Westborough. And we took our design cues on building aesthetic from that. Sealand in a second can walk you through the architecture of both buildings. Currently on the screen right now is the north parcel. But one design study that we spent a lot of time focusing on is that Route 9 corridor experience. What we really did not want to have happen, or what we didn't want the community to experience, is what you might call the canyoning effect that you might feel in Manhattan or any city or area where there are tall buildings on either side of you, and you feel this sort of tubular sense. So what we did to combat that and to respond to that was on the north parcel, which is what you're looking at now, we set the building back a very long distance from Route 9, roughly 180 feet, I believe. And on the south parcel, we made the Route 9 elevation 4 stories. So the experience driving through Route 9, you're going to experience light, you're going to experience setback and depth from the buildings. These are design moves to combat that feeling that there is large massing on either side of you.
Westborough TV doesn't have this up yet, so. There we go, now it's up there.
Good. Sealand Path again, Pinefield Architecture. So Hazel, specifically, This is what you will see, the image that you're seeing now is what you will see from the Route 9 when you're looking towards the north parcel. That is the view. And the second will show you what you'll see looking from the Route 9 to the south parcel. Just stay here for a second, please, Tom, thank you. A really important element in the design here is that the upper floor in both buildings, in this case, the 5th floor and the south parcel, the 4th floor, the upper floor in both buildings is built into the roof line for 2 reasons. One, to accentuate the architecture. We wanted a pitched roof architecture. So you see those dormers, there's units behind those. But the idea was building that upper floor into the roof line. Again, we thought that the pitched roof architecture, the gable ends and so on, were consistent with the precedents that we looked at in the town, in the book that Tom mentioned. But very clearly, this is what you'll see from the Route 9 on the north parcel. And if we switch to the south parcel, please, Tom. That's exactly what you'll see when you're driving down the Route 9 looking at the south parcel. This is a 4-story building, but again, the upper level, we could have made that a flat roof, and we could have complied with your zoning with a flat roof, but we chose to create roof lines, in this case, the gambrel shaped roofs, where the upper floor is built into the roof line, both for architectural reasons and scale reasons and massing reasons. But if you were asking directly, what are the buildings going to look like from the Route 9, you just saw 2 images that show that.
Is there, question for the, I guess for anyone, is there a 4-story large building that is like comparable, do we think, from a, like driving
massing
by?
size?
Was that?
Like massing size or just height-wise?
I think it probably wouldn't be both, but I'm just trying, because I think Arrive is like 8 stories.
I mean, the buildings in downtown are 3 or 4
Yeah, I guess like
stories.
on Route 9. I was just trying to think if there was like another comparison point. Oh, 9, not even 8, okay.
Yeah.
Hazel's trying to respond.
Jenny,
Turn your volume down, Hazel. Yeah, we can hear
Yes.
you.
oh, okay,
She needs
Oh,
to
wait,
mute her.
hold on, Hazel.
that I had the question about.
Hazel, can you mute your computer?
Is that better?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. No, it's not the architectural aspect, it was really the massing of the buildings that I was unclear on. So what we're saying is that on the south side of the on the south side of Route 9, it's only 4 stories, and on the north side, is it 5 or 6, is that correct?
As viewed from Route 9, correct.
As viewed from Route 9, that's
To
correct.
be clear, there are 5-story portions of both buildings, but as viewed from Route 9, the south parcel is this, which is 4 stories, and the north side is 5.
Okay, so as I said, I was trying to get an idea of the massing aspect of it, which is something we hadn't really talked about very much. I think, architecturally, I think we need a real effort to fit in with the community and not be an outlier, but doing something which is going to be compatible architecturally, and I thank you for, doing the research that you did on that. As I said, it's kind of a massive project when you look at it for the number of units that we're looking to add, and I know there have been a lot of comments and questions from people in the community about this, but I do feel, having seen the one in Marlborough, that you certainly have tried to work within the community and put a project which we would all be proud of to have in our community. I didn't have any other real questions. A lot of the things that we're still dealing with are technical, and I am a little concerned about the back and forth that we've had with the Affordable Housing Trust, and I was at some of the meetings and thought we had reached been back and forth in that, though. I thought we had come to some sort of a basic agreement, and was concerned that all of a sudden this seemed to have fallen apart, or someone's opinion of what they'd seen or the discussions was quite different from what another party had been in the discussions. So I'm hoping that we can work this out. I know that everybody has made an effort, and we don't want this to become a major stumbling block at this time, and don't want people arguing over who said who did what. So it is something that that has been my other concern at this particular time. And that's really the only question I have. Most of the rest of the things are technical issues, which are not something that we as a planning board need to take the opinion from the various technical experts that we have in town to make decisions on wastewater and all the rest of those kinds of things. So those were the questions I had.
All right, thank you, Hazel. Chris, just to address your point, I don't know what picture John was showing you, but the Westborough Executive Park is 3 stories.
Okay,
So if you go a story up from that,
yeah. I was just trying to give like a reference point for Hazel.
and I would think the massing is probably similar, though I think it's a little bit farther away from, well, might not be farther away from Route 9, but the green space in between is a little bit wider. But, yep. Anyway, any other questions, Chris? Okay. Caroline, any question? Yeah.
Tom, I know that you have had some discussions with the Sustainable Westborough Committee and about, I know the town, we might be bringing up to town meeting about a specialized energy code. And I'm just wondering if that comes to town meeting and if it does pass, which are both ifs, but would that pose any trouble for the development?
I'll provide the same transparent comment that I provided the Sustainable Committee and the conversations we had with them. And it was really based on 2 facts. The first is, and I actually learned this in research in the conversation with that committee, there is a group called the ASCEE, I believe. I actually have it right here on my screen. If you give me 1 second, just to make sure I get the name correct.
And if I can just jump in on the answer to that. So it's my understanding that if that did pass town meeting, it wouldn't go into effect until, I believe, 6 months after. So this wouldn't fall under that requirement.
Okay.
But-
Wasn't sure what the timeline
Yeah,
was
it's
for
a
that.
fair
Okay.
question, and we spent a lot of time talking about it, so I'll
Yeah, sure.
give that same feedback to this board. In short, the conclusion that we communicated to the Sustainable Board is that if we were pursuing this project at a time conceptually where this was a specialized code community, we would not be pursuing the project. We couldn't. For financial feasibility reasons.
Okay.
The interesting point that I tried to bring up, and I think it was well received, is that Massachusetts base code is the second most energy stringent in the entire country. The base code, only behind that of California. Westborough is a stretch code community, right, in between base and specialized. So arguably, as it stands right now as a stretch code community, Westborough benefits from one of the most energy stringent, energy conscious energy codes there is in the whole nation. So the question that I was going back and forth with that committee is, what would be the goal over the long term of trying to become a specialized code community? Because the risks are, as I stated, that certain development would not, as it relates to new housing, would not be possible, in our opinion, because of the additional costs on top of already a cost-prohibitive environment that the specialized code brings. So that was the basis of the conversation, and this is the report which shows in the summary somewhere, if I can find it very quickly. It's very hard to see here, but it's in data later on that Massachusetts, right here, is number 2 in the country in terms of energy efficiency scorecard, only behind that of California. And again, that's Massachusetts as a base code.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Anything else? All right, John, do you have any questions?
Yeah, just two. To follow up on one of Chris's questions, you mentioned the size of the courtyard was 20,000 square feet. What's the size of the courtyard in Marlborough for the lodge?
That was a pretty good estimate, I think, for the north parcel courtyard, a half acre. If I had to guess in Marlborough, it's extremely similar. It's probably, 18 to 22,000 square feet, so very similar to the lodge courtyard.
Yeah, I just think for square footages, for a lot of people, it's kind of hard to conceptualize. It's easier to visualize having been there. So
Yes,
if it's close to the same, then I think that's
but very close. And the number for the north parcel is roughly 21,000 square feet, so about half an acre, which is very similar to the lodge in Marlborough.
Okay.
Sorry, do we know south
The south,
parcel?
You will get that in 1 second. 12,000? 12,000.
okay.
14,000. We'll get you the exact number, but it looks like the submitted plans are 14,000 square feet. 14,000.
Thank you. The other question has more to do with the Affordable Housing Trust. So at the start of the meeting, you provided kind of a summary of where you're at with them. You spent, I think you said 5 months working with them, meeting with them. Just hearing what Hazel just had to say, I'm a little concerned. And is it that the proposal that you guys provided to the Affordable Housing Trust wasn't accepted by them, but that's the same proposal that it seems like Hazel and perhaps Post Road Residential was in maybe a verbal agreement with in that meeting?
So yes, there was about 5 months of dialogue. There was a September in-person meeting, which was the last in-person meeting. That was the culmination of other in-person meetings and a previously submitted proposal. And the September meeting included members of Post Road, members of the Affordable Housing Trust, members of Economic Development, the Planning Department, and some members of the Planning Board. And it was our opinion, and my opinion as well, that it seemed like it was the opinion of other folks in the room that there was a consensus reached. Again, with the goal of trying to of achieving this aligned goal of creating affordable housing. As a result of that belief that there was consensus we sent a proposal defining what we had discussed. That proposal, I believe, was sent September 16th. And we didn't hear anything else until the December 15th memo was sent to your board. And as I outlined in our responses that will be sent in memo form to the Affordable Housing Trust, I think there's just fair differences of opinion perhaps, but also bases of what the idea or belief in the economic feasibility report that was perhaps the basis for the trust's recommendation to the board. As recently as this week, we were able to even more concretely, in our opinion, show that there is a potential need to think about the RKG economic feasibility analysis conclusion based on discussions we had recently with RKG, in addition to the information we presented on record about other data inputs that we thought were not market-based. So I'm not sure if that answered your question, but the last proposal that we sent in September to the Affordable Housing Trust, and we had a great experiences, going back and forth and sharing notes and sharing financial models, was our best effort to try to, again, meet the goals of producing more housing and offering as much as we could before we couldn't do this project anymore.
And Jenny, were you in the meeting?
Yes, I was.
So did that proposal match kind of what was discussed and almost agreed to in the meeting with the Affordable Housing Trust?
No, the proposal that Post Road presented is what I had understood that we had agreed to.
I mean, my biggest concern is for this board is that Westborough is known as a business-friendly community, right? So if we're having meetings with developers and we're coming to some verbal agreements, obviously, Westborough reserves the right to, review some of that information again at a later date, but we also don't want to be known of retrading and perhaps walking back on what we've agreed to in those meetings. So that's more my concern. If the proposal is what you guys agreed to, then I think that's very fair to move forward with. I appreciate the fact that you guys are providing more information and more data for the Affordable Housing Trust to digest and better understand where you're coming from, but that's just my opinion on the matter, so.
And
Thank you.
I'll just add on to that ultimately it's up to the planning board. These discussions are so that we can prepare a complete application for the board with lots of background data to support it before it gets to that point. But ultimately, it's up to the board on whether they agree with that proposal and the proposed buy-down.
All right. Is Hazel still on?
Yeah, she's here.
All right, does she have any more questions?
No.
No, all right. So I don't have a ton of questions. A lot of it was covered by my fellow board members, so thank you for all that. Two main concerns, we talked about it at the site visit, just with the traffic circulation on those two sites. It's tough, it's confusing. There's not a direct route for really either of the sites to get to downtown, so we want the residents there to be part of the wider Westborough community, so we want them to be able to get downtown and share in that community. So that's something that we would need to look at. Obviously, it's not up to you all to fix the Milk Street interchange, so we'll have to look to the town and MassDOT and whoever else that we need to get that all sorted. But that's a concern. And then one of the other things that I see in a lot of new developments is landscaping is generally minimal. And I don't understand why that's the case. You go out to, Amazon or any of these other ones and they have swaths of grass that doesn't get used. I'd rather see that planted with trees. I'd rather see that with vegetation, serve as screening, to serve as like a buffer, visual buffer, and to just kind of make it seem a little bit more natural. So as much landscaping, native, natural landscaping that you can put in between Route 9 and the buildings and the parking, I think would enhance the experience on Route 9, it would enhance the experience for the residents, and I think it would just generally look better for Westborough in general, instead of having, just grass along the road. You see the undeveloped parts of Route 9, I'm looking at Street View right across from Westborough Executive Park. The other side of it, completely forested, completely treed, it's undeveloped. That is, not necessarily what we're looking for or what I'm looking for, but something that is in between the development and the natural existing vegetation. I think it just would look better. And just generally around the site as well, but mostly on Route 9. Those are my two non-technical comments, and I guess no questions, but yeah, anything else from the board? All right.
Are we opening for?
I would like to open for public comment, so.
I have one. I guess I think it would
Board
be
finished.
helpful if, I don't know, John, if you want to, I think if someone, I don't think we've explained to the general public the corridor study that could be done. I think, to your point, traffic is a concern, so I think sharing some of the mitigation pieces would be helpful.
I'm going to defer to Jenny on that
Great.
one. Could you just provide, so as part of this negotiation between the board and the applicant, this is for the public, the applicant, if I understand correctly, the applicant has offered to do a corridor study to help with identifying recommendations to improve the Milk Street interchange at the intersection of Route 9, where it goes underground, and, you know, there's the twists and turns all over the place. So that could potentially be part of a condition of approval. Jenny, could you just kind of briefly go over what the scope of that corridor study would include and what the goal of that would be?
Yeah, absolutely. So in the application, the applicant has agreed to fund what it would be a Milk Street corridor analysis. We do have this area on our radar as an area that needs to be improved. It's not a high crash volume per MassDOT, so it's not on their priority list, but it's something that we as a town know needs to be improved for better access for residents to get downtown, and then just in general in that area. So what the analysis would evaluate is safety and operations throughout that Route 9 Milk Street interchange. It would look at turning movements, the cloverleaf performance in general, and then it would also look at multimodal and pedestrian needs, so the potential for a shared use path from that development to get to downtown, for example. And then also, you know, connection on the other side. We're most likely not going to have a crosswalk go across Route 9 there, but there's, you know, potentially the need to get people to the shopping plaza where, what's the restaurant name? No, not West Meadow, on the other side, the Red Heat, things like that. And then give us action items for long-term improvements that would be made in that area. The board did something similar when the Amazon projects came to town on Otis Street, and Amazon was asked as part of their planning board decision to do a corridor study of Otis Street. And that gave us the ability to talk to MassDOT and also get funding from a few different grants to be able to look at that intersection, design it, and hopefully it will be starting construction this summer. So that's just one way that the applicant can help the town out in that intersection.
And so just to clarify, that corridor study the result of it would give technical recommendations on how to improve that interchange, that whole area.
Correct.
For pedestrians and for car traffic.
Correct, which would then give us the ability for a much stronger application to MassDOT to get MassDOT funding to be able to improve that whole area.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so anything else from the board? All right, I'd like to open up to the public, and we do limit public comments to 2 minutes. If you make a comment, you want to make a second comment, please just let whoever hasn't made a comment make a comment, and then you can come up a second time. So if there's anyone out there that would like to make a public comment, now is the time. Come up to the microphone, state your name and address, please.
One thing while he's turning that on, I don't think we acknowledged that we received, sorry, just while you're, I don't think we acknowledged that we did receive additional letters from the town with concerns about traffic and
I believe the applicant addressed those comments from the public.
yes, they were also sent to us as the board, so I just wanted to acknowledge that we received them. as
We
the board.
also received them, correct. Right.
There's one on Permit Pro, somebody McFadden, I believe. I have a copy of it here. Kevin Barry, 8 Indian Pond Road. Some impressive firepower here. There's only 2 of us as far as residents that are speaking, or hopefully Wayne will speak as well. But I'm very familiar with this project. A couple of things that have not been brought to light are some things that have been used to kind of push this project forward. First, I just want to bring attention, I'm not sure, did anybody see this December 12th publication of GBH News about projects like this? It was in December 12th. It referred to the Remington, the Cove, as well as Alta on Row. Very similar properties, Bottom line, these are luxury rental properties. This is not what the town, what residents are looking for more affordable housing. Basically, a lot of comparisons been done with the Marlborough properties. I don't know if all of you have been there. Some of you admitted you have. That's a 40-acre parcel. So the similarities are two different buildings. They built both of those on 40 acres. Each building covers 10 acres. These two buildings, one is, 5.74 acres, the other one is 4.5 acres. So this is no different than, and I have family that live in Westport, Fairfield. These gentlemen will recognize the fact that this is no different than building a McMansion where you tear down a two-bedroom house and build a six-bedroom house on. So to fit these size properties on those parcels is crazy ridiculous. It's going to be, I'm going to say an eyesore. I think the architecture looks beautiful, but to Hazel's point, I've lived in this town for 28 years. I travel Route 9, east and west. I live a stone's throw from the south property. This part of Route 9 is probably the highest when you come into Westborough. So if you're coming from the west, you will see it on the right and the left. Same thing coming from the east. I think it's a little bit of a hill once you hit that Noble station, goes down, and then it goes up. But in essence, this is one of the highest points on Route 9 in Westborough. So the size, if they're asking for a waiver, it's going to look just enormous as far as that goes. And I think the one thing I also want to point out is just the fact that I think it was brought to our attention in the first presentation was they want to be long-term partners with Westborough. But they built two properties in Marlborough. The first property was sold within 9 months of completion date. So it was called the Borough, which is now the Point at Green District, and also they own the lodge currently. And I think one of the things, the last closing comment I want to make, what the GBH article mentioned simply states, if I were looking at doing a high-end or mixed income project that depended on high rents right now, I think I'd be having second thoughts. So just keep that in consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comments? I don't see any. There's nobody on the Teams call, right?
No, it's not.
That wasn't open to the public. Okay, so no other public comments. So Jenny, at this point, we are looking to continue to the 20th, correct? January 20th, is that our next meeting?
Yeah.
Can I ask
Would you
you
like to
one
continue the 20th or the February 3rd? Yeah, I don't know if that would give you enough time with the comments and everything.
Chris, what was your question?
About the selling of the other building in Marlborough.
What about it?
Like the plans to, intention to sell these buildings.
Are you asking if the applicant is intending to sell the buildings?
I'm asking you, I guess, if I can ask the question.
Sure.
Yes. I guess based on the comment about Marlborough, is there an intention to sell the properties?
So relative to the gentleman's comment on the business model for the Marlborough properties, in the business of housing development, there are two business models as it relates to multifamily development. In both, you design a building, construct it, you lease it up, you try to create a great community, and once the building is occupied, that is the threshold in which the two different business models would come about or be executed. Those two business models are either selling the project or refinancing the construction debt with long-term debt and owning it long-term. The choice of that business model comes when you decide who the equity capital partner, if you can raise the equity capital for a project, if it's feasible, that business model decision happens at that point. Marlborough, at the time we financed that project, the capital available for that project, and generally speaking, I would say for the vast majority of new apartment buildings, you have to understand, apartment investment is an investment class for institutional investors. We are not institutional investors, we are housing developers. The folks who provide the capital to build these alongside our capital view this as a risky investment. And therefore, the type of capital providers that are willing to invest alongside us in a housing development project that's a ground-up development project, much different than the risk profile of acquiring an existing apartment building and owning it. Because of that risk profile, the type of investor who is willing to invest with you is a high-risk tolerant investor, which means in the investment world that is typically a private equity fund.
Sure.
During the time of financing the Marlborough deals, it was in the depths of COVID or right after COVID, and the available capital at that time decided what the business model was. So the answer is right now, we don't know what the business model is. I will say to you that we love the fundamentals, the community, all of the things that developers and investors have to think about when investing their own money into a project, that I would love to own these buildings long-term, and we would love to be long-term partners in the community. To suggest that selling any project, to suggest a developer selling any project is somewhat disingenuous is
Oh, sure.
is
that's
misinformed,
fair.
I
Yeah.
would say, because it's a very standard part of the business model as a result of the risk profile investors look at this. So we would love to own Westborough long-term. We hope we can.
Okay, can I ask one follow-up? Sorry, John, I'm sorry.
Sorry, no?
So, I guess my follow-up then is, I think one of the things we've been talking about is how your buildings are managed. When you sell their properties, is there some sort of, I don't know, can you even like make a condition that like this is how, I guess how do you make sure that some of those components are continued? And I ask because if you like had it for less than a year and it sold it, then it might be a very different experience and have a different customer.
What you're referring to is, I believe, the comments we made in the first hearing about some of the differences between our proposed project and some of the older apartments in Westborough that might not have strict operational controls. The folks that we partner with on the management side, we don't do that in-house.
Right.
We're a very small company, but we have relationships and partner time and time again with the largest apartment management companies in the country. Those apartment management companies, whether or not we have sold buildings or continued to own them, are the same companies.
Okay.
Greystar, for example, Bozzuto Management, for example. So you would never, I will say on the record, you will never have a instance where a post-road project is operated a certain way and does not continue to operate that way. We've built a reputation on continuing that
Sure.
operational integrity.
Okay, great, thank you, appreciate it. Thanks, Joan.
Thank you. All right.
We will continue to the next hearing, to the next meeting.
To the 20th?
January 20th.
Was there another public comment?
Yes, we will continue to the 20th. Yeah.
Mr. Barry, did you want to make a comment?
Kevin Barry, 8 Indian Pond Road. To answer your question too, to back him up, yes, there are some major companies as part of my new career, if you will. That's why I got a lot of knowledge and kind of did some research here. But bottom line is they're top notch. There's wind companies, there's Greystar, Bozzuto, the two that are managing the lodge property right now. But one of the things, the last thing I wanted to bring to attention was vacancy rates as far as these properties, the luxury properties. Currently, the lodge, which has 240 units, I think their range is 2,600 to 4,663 as far as rents, which is crazy. That's luxury. They have 42 units currently that are vacant right now. So it's an 18% vacancy rate. It coincides with that article that, if you want me to send you a copy of it, the GBH, each of those 3 properties in Worcester, the newly built ones, each have 24, so 24 each of those 3 buildings are vacant. So there's a slowdown in that rental aspect goes. And I think that was it. Thanks.
All right. Can I have a motion to continue the hearing to the January 20th meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? And Hazel, can you please voice your vote?
She says yes.
All right, Hazel says yes, so it is 5-0. All right. Thank you all. That is the end of our hearings. So now we are going to move on to the presentation for the zoning for billboards from out front. We've already exhausted our technical problems, so you can't have any technical problems right now, so hopefully it works
I
first
was
time.
really trying to give you guys a break on that. All right, sorry. She's fine, she just fell asleep. Should have woken up. There we go.
Great.
Okay,
What's that? You know the pain.
yeah.
All right.
Oh, there we go. All right.
Jenny, anything before they get started?
Westborough TV doesn't have it up on the screen yet online for Hazel.
Gonna say, can we make sure Hazel is looped in for this?
She's here. Okay, now she can see it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
All
Why
good?
don't you get started, yeah?
Yeah, all right. No, thanks so much for having us. We're here to just talk about the opportunity for
Just make
potential.
sure you speak right into the microphone,
Sorry.
sorry. The audio in here is a little.
Sorry, Amanda Guanello, Outfront Media. Thanks so much for having us here. We are here to discuss the opportunity for a potential partnership with Westborough for a 14 by 48 digital on the edge of, kind of the edge of town there facing 495. I got Jim McGrail here. He's-
Thank you. Jim McGrail, attorney representing Outfront. Amanda and I do these little road shows every once in a while, but as I stated, I am a member of the Dedham Planning Board, served in the ZBA and Planning Board for 26 years now, so I feel, as I jokingly, I feel your pain, but I do what you do at least twice a month, so whenever I come before a planning board, I'm very respectful of the roles you play and the time you spend, and so, our goal here is to be as upfront and as open and as transparent as we possibly can with you. We've had a couple of very good conversations with Jenny, who suggested that we come before the planning board and discuss what we're trying to do. We're not trying to put billboards throughout the town of Westborough, that's for sure. From the perspective of Outfront, our business model is quality of location means a lot more than quantity of signs. So really, if this were to work for us in the town of Westborough, we would only be putting up one sign. And that sign would be on 495, close to the Hopkinton border. So some people might not know if it was in Westborough or Hopkinton. So we're trying to also be strategic about the location. So this tonight is just a discussion point to say, some of the, Amanda can go through the slides to talk about what we do, why we do it, how we do it. When we work with communities, we find one of the things that is most appealing to communities is the digital aspect allows for a real partnership between ourselves and the first responders in town. We can have a direct relationship with the police chiefs and the fire chiefs and others to allow for public service messaging, Amber Alerts type of thing, public service warnings. It could be from the DPW as well. Any town entity, we have that relationship with the community to say, hey, we will put aside space for you, the community, to use for that board to announce you might have a 4th of July event here in the town of Westborough, a particular sports team or a fine arts group or something of the sort might have done, something special that you want to promote as having been People love to see their name in lights, so to speak. So if you have a science award or a championship, whatever it may be, that's another, it's a community enhancement, so to speak. This is not the old days where you just have this, as people would call it, litter on a stick, which was just, you have a pole with, and every once in a while you take an up and down copy. This is a digital display, and we've had good success with some of the community. People have, changing a little bit on their mindsets relative to these types of things because they do see it a little bit of value added, whereas before, they didn't really get anything out of it but having advertising in their town. So we're not seeking to touch, Westborough is a beautiful town. We have no interest or inclination to touch anything in a residential neighborhood or anything of that sort. The board that we would propose here in the town would face 495. It wouldn't face any residences. It wouldn't be close to any residences. So we'd try to be as sensitive to those particular concerns because those aren't just Westborough's concerns. Those are across the 351 cities and towns in Massachusetts. So we're a well-established firm. Outfront is a national firm, publicly traded company, but we do have a Boston office that is well-staffed and good people. I've been on both sides. Previously I served in the Outdoor Advertising Board for the state years ago. I serve on the planning board in Dedham. And sometimes you can deal with billboard companies and you can have interesting results. I will say this first and foremost, Outfront is a very reputable firm that has an outstanding reputation. And whenever it does it, if a city or town does a deal with Outfront, you can be assured that the terms and conditions are met and oftentimes exceeded. So I can we can have Amanda go through these slides here if you'd like, and they won't be long. We
No.
value your time. As I said, I've been out there. The label is too long.
Yeah, I mean, and Jim introduced us pretty well, but I have some more information on the specific location that we're looking at and what a partnership with us would look like if you guys were to move forward. So we're looking at 155 Flanders Road. So this is surrounded by commercial property and businesses. Like Jim was saying, we're not really touching any residential area. If you look at that starred area, there's really nothing across the highway from there too, but it's sort of harmonious. It wouldn't be an odd place to see a billboard, and you wouldn't really be seeing this from anywhere in town. You're on 495. You're approaching, you're right on the town line. So most people, when I'm driving the highway, I'm never really sure exactly which city or town I'm even in. So it's kind of a neat opportunity for some passive income for the town, and it would just simply exist there. And that's kind of the simple way to put it. Some more information on what a partnership would offer. Again, Jim touched on some of these. We could have the fire department, emergencies. There's opportunity for local businesses. I'll mention, our billboards are everywhere. We're nationwide. We're the largest in Boston. 70% of our advertising is local businesses. That's incredible. We love that. We love to see the local stuff in the communities. So, you'll see your restaurants, you'll see your stores, your local guys on there. And then, of course, already touched on too, we would expand this billboard into the Amber Alert program and offer 15 hours a month, I think, for any other additional discretionary community messaging that you wanted to put up there. Events, elections, congrats, retirement, things like that. We see it all, so we can do stuff like that.
So the 15 hours, it's not something like you keep
No.
It's pretty.
Right.
It's there because that's a state regulation.
Right. And just to mention as a side note too, all of our billboards have to dedicate 15 hours to state too. So they get that space on there as well. So you'll see the state messaging, your messaging, the local guys. Hopefully not too many emergencies.
So can I just ask a clarifying question on that?
Sure.
So the 15 hours per month,
would be 15 hours for the state messaging and then 15 hours for local Westborough messaging, or the Westborough would be within that 15 hours
Oh, no,
from
no, no,
MassDOT?
separate.
So
You
it'd be
get your
30
own
total.
dedicated 15 hours a month. And I did want to mention here, like Jim was also saying, we're not going to come in here, and if your bylaws were to open it up to 495, there's really no opportunity to put a ton of signs on the stretch of 495 in Westborough. It's not a huge stretch in your town, but it's regulated federally and state. You can't be within 500 feet of a ramp. So in these red spots on this map up here are all the spots that you can't put a billboard, especially if we were to put one at 155 Flanders. You can't be within 1,000 feet of another. So one billboard spaces everything around it out. You have to be within 500 feet of two businesses. There's a few spots on this map where you're not within 500 feet of two businesses. And everything is still subject to local approval prior to us going to the state. So this map right here shows basically, and everything in blue is a potential spot, but keeping in mind, if one of those spots were to have a sign, that would turn everything around it red too. There was another spot in the bottom part of this map here. Yes, I guess it's conforming. However, we looked at this spot, I think this is actually a Westborough-owned easement, and we couldn't really figure out ways to access it that would be very cost-friendly. So I can tell you why we don't want that spot, which is mostly why other billboard companies probably wouldn't be looking at that spot. You'd have to build a road and all kinds of access to it, and it's just extremely costly. We would most likely go with something that already has access to it with a parking lot there. And so I would say if we're not looking at that potential spot with difficult access, you probably couldn't have more than two.
So a quick clarifying question, did you say it can't be on the red?
Right.
But the star is on the red.
So that's the reason why everything else around it would be spaced out.
Okay. If that was there, okay.
So
got it.
if our sign is there, and it's not just on that side of the highway, it's everything on the other side of the highway. You need 1,000 feet.
1,000-foot radius?
So it's 1,000-foot line, yeah, and then across the way they measure it, so that basically 1,000 feet on either side of the highway would be spaced out completely.
So you could do another board north of this site?
On the blue.
Yeah, in the blue.
But if there was another board in the
Yeah.
blue, that would
Then that
max
would
it
be
out,
Yeah.
potentially.
Right,
we're
so
really
that would
looking
be that would be the two. That spot was also less desirable, not that another billboard company couldn't come in and try it, but there's even opportunity if you really wanted to limit it, when drafting your bylaws, you could say, well, I know the state says 500 feet, but we want to say 750. And that kind of knocks out some opportunity there as well.
You have to be worried about spots only.
Yeah.
Hazel has a question.
Not just gonna come here and say,
Just one second.
all the rules and regulations.
Can you just talk into the microphone? It's hard to hear.
I'm sorry. Yeah, it'd be a race to see who's first, quite honestly. So, but, there would be multiple opportunities, but at the end of the day, the person that got there first would probably, have the best chance of having the only board there, potentially one more than that. But it wouldn't
One,
be.
maybe two total.
Correct, correct.
All right, Hazel, she had a question?
Yeah. And Hazel, could you mute your computer? Go ahead.
All right. Okay, a couple things. This proposed billboard would only be seen if you're going south, is that correct?
No, it would be, I'm sorry.
South, north and south on but only from 495.
I didn't hear the answer. Is that it can be
North
seen
and
in
south.
both directions?
Yes,
On 495 only.
but only on 495.
Right, I understand that. I just wanted to make sure that so it can be seen whether you're going north or south.
Correct, yes.
All right. I mean, the whole purpose of this is because the town would get rental. Is this on town property or is that on a private individual's property?
The property that we're showing with the star on it is private property, but we would enter into a host service agreement with the town. We would enter into negotiations to provide a financial arrangement between Outfront and the town relative to the board.
Is it, I mean, I didn't hear the answer. Is it on Cruz property or is it on town property?
It's on private property, yes.
Okay,
They would enter into it.
And in other words, the rental for the billboard would be paid to the private owner of the particular piece of property. Is that correct?
That's one piece of the financial arrangement, but we would also do a separate agreement with the town to enter into a host services
I mean,
agreement.
I, quite frankly, have always been opposed to billboards because I really feel that going through Westborough is one of the few places on 495 where you don't have a lot of billboards, and I just don't think, I don't see what the huge benefit is to the town for this. As far as advertising goes, if you're headed south, once you get on 495, when you see this billboard, you're already out of Westborough and you have no way to get into Westborough to visit those businesses. If you're coming north, that may be different. So it's difficult for me, and I have been unable to understand why this is a benefit to the community, other than the fact that the private owner of that piece of property is making money out of it, and the benefit, I don't think there's that much of a benefit to our town. So that's kind of my initial feeling about this. I mean, I'm glad to see your presentation. This is not the first time we've had this discussion go on, and I don't think it'll be the last. But anyway, that's my general feeling about it.
Thank you, Hazel.
I want to clarify one thing. I know we're having a little communication problem here, but, and I know I've said it, but to Hazel, there is a financial component that would be associated. I'm sorry, there would be a financial agreement with the town. It wouldn't just be the private property owner that is collecting revenues from the sign. The town would as well. So in addition to the public service announcements and abilities and advertising abilities for local companies, there would be a financial component with the town that we would negotiate.
And
Thank you.
who, would that be negotiated with the select board?
Whomever, whatever, is that what it is? That's up to the town.
And what would, just for our education, what would potential annual mitigation payment be?
It's hard to say. Every town's different. Some towns like the money up front. Some towns like it's spaced over a 5-year period or something of that. It really depends on needs at the particular time.
What have you done for some surrounding communities? Like, where are some comparables?
Some comps, we could, sometimes you get into a 300, a check for 350 right away, or $65,000 over an annual period or something. But those are just numbers. I mean, we're just, it's hard. As I said, every city and town is different.
I mean, I think at least for me, right, I can see the benefit of having a billboard on 495 for businesses, but I think it's also good to understand what would be the financial arrangement, what that would look like.
Yeah, and
Go ahead.
it would be to the annual mitigation fee that we pay to the town, would be for the life of the billboard. But what we can do is offer either an annual fee from the start or the first 5 years up front, so it would be pretty lucrative. But I think we would want to leave that open to negotiation. If you're looking for a range.
Like I said, the range.
You need the mic? Sorry. Oh, that's okay.
My bad. To start off, an annual number of 65,000, or a number like 65 times 5 right away, or something of that sort. And then after the fact, and then we get into something about years 6, 7, 8, 9. These billboards don't go, once they go up, they're there. So This wouldn't be a 1-year agreement, a 5-year agreement. It would be for the life of the board. There would be a financial component to it.
Okay, thank you.
Any more? Do we have more?
Yeah, is there more of the presentation?
We do, okay, yeah. So this goes to the municipal agreement.
Yeah, and we have, again, we touched on most of this, but, we can also offer, I know there was a concern about cannabis, so we could put a restriction on that. That's nothing new. We've done that in other towns too. The annual mitigation fee to the town, if preferred, we could pay the first 5 years up front, and then there's that 15 hours a month solely dedicated to Westborough. That's nothing you would have to share with the state. We had some proposed bylaw language that we put in here as well. Again, this kind of controls, the amount, if there's a concern about the amount of signs coming in, must face 495. No cannabis, needs to be in a proper zone. The owner must enter a host agreement with the town like we're willing to do here, and the sign must conform to all federal and state regulation, which we would be stopped pretty quickly if it didn't. So we wouldn't really get too far past Westborough if it didn't. So, yeah, I think that's pretty much all we wanted to show you.
Thank you. All right, so any other questions from the board?
Just echoing John's.
Okay. Carolyn? No? All right.
So I guess what I need from the board is, I think they're asking to be considered to go onto the March town meeting agenda for a zoning change. This would have to be a zoning change, because currently in our sign bylaw, we don't allow for billboards. So that's something to consider.
Do we have a bylaw drafted?
They had provided a draft bylaw, so we do have the language, so we can distribute it to the board.
And how is the billboard over by Park Apartments there?
They might be pre-existing, I'm not sure.
I mean, there are billboards in town.
There are billboards along Route 9.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I personally, I don't know how I feel about this, but I would be on board with bringing a article to town meeting to let town meeting decide. Draft a bylaw that is something that we would be not necessarily supportive, but comfortable with presenting, and then making a recommendation to town meeting, however that falls, and then letting town meeting decide if they want this, rather than kind of playing the judge here and say, no, planning board doesn't want it, so we're not even going to bring it to town meeting. But I'm open to other people's opinions.
I agree with you. I just want to echo what Hazel was saying too. I mean, I grew up in Southborough, obviously live here in town. I mean, when I think of Westborough, I do think of Route 9. I don't think of 495. Never have. I really honestly, I
Short stretch.
really won't. It's a drive-by, right? So I do hear what Hazel's saying, but I am in favor of it. But I do agree, we can bring it to town meeting and, let the town decide.
Yeah, I agree. So question then so next step would be then the bylaw, and then you guys would come back right after, and we would discuss more specifics around this one?
I don't think they would be involved, the out front, because it would be it wouldn't be
private.
I mean, they're not citizens, so it wouldn't be a citizen's petition. It would have to be sponsored by the planning board. So it would be our bylaw.
Right.
Yeah, so
I guess, and then I'm just saying in terms
Yeah.
of like approving the actual.
Right, they can provide us a draft, and if the planning board wants to sponsor it, then we would have the public hearing, just like we would with the downtown zoning, very similar to that. So it'd be a public hearing sometime in February, and then town meeting in March.
Hazel, how do you feel about that?
Oh, hold on, Hazel, let's unmute you, sorry. Oh, turn down your volume.
procedure, I'm perfectly willing to bring it to town meeting. I mean, I think that's the appropriate way to go, and I think that's the way we went last time. I mean, as far as the bylaw goes, Christina, it's up to us to take care of the bylaws, not up to the applicant.
No, I understand. I was just trying to Jenny mentioned that they had a draft, so I didn't know kind of what that looked like. And when I said they came back, I meant like for the actual billboard, not for the bylaw.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, I believe the draft bylaw, it's similar to what was proposed a few years ago at town meeting. It might be a little bit more restrictive based on the comments that we received at that town meeting. But it was a requirement, I can't remember if it was the select board or planning board that would approve it when they came forward. So
Okay.
it wasn't just a building permit and they put it up, it was a approval process.
Can I just
No, I
ask,
think we used the format that we used last time when we did this. I mean, that's the appropriate way to go. And as I said, I think the appropriate thing is to bring it to the town and have them make the decision, not the planning board. We can present a bylaw. It can be a draft, and we can look at it and make any changes if we want, but we would just go as if we were doing a normal bylaw change or bylaw addition.
so my question is hypothetically, if it's brought to town meeting, let's say it's approved, then it's not like it's site plan review, so it's contingent upon the applicant to enter into a host agreement with the select board. So technically, even if it was approved at town meeting, it doesn't mean that a billboard will go up.
right, and you can, I don't know what the bylaw says, but you can make the use a special permit use, so they'd have to get a special permit for the planning board. Or, I mean, you could make it site plan approval.
Well, I'm just
Right,
saying,
you
like,
could
even
put
if
that
it
in there.
it's not like it
Right.
automatically means that it will go up, like, it still has to get
Right,
negotiated.
Right, they would
Yeah.
have to apply, and what they had also said was, like, we can't spot zone it to say it's only this property that would be able to do a billboard. Anybody could come in and do it in that spot, technically.
Look what Southborough just did with their Costco, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can figure that out when we have the bylaw to review.
It's a
All
little
right.
different.
Anything else on this?
Okay, so I just want, the board would like me to work with bylaw and present it to the board for a public hearing on the zoning in preparation for town meeting.
Correct.
Will there
Go ahead.
be any mention of the, like, compensation for, like, how does that kind of play?
So the way that it would be enforced is within the bylaw, they've got language, so we would just have to see if the language would be appropriate
Yeah.
for them to enter into a host community agreement with Westborough.
Okay.
And then within that agreement would be the mitigation
Okay,
negotiation.
thank you.
Oh, Hazel's saying something.
All right.
Hold on, Hazel.
Usually done, the board is selected.
Oh, turn down your volume, sorry.
Selected makes the decision on, they do the negotiation on those things.
Okay.
I had a comment and now I don't remember what it was.
Do you want to vote on that, to direct that to go onto an agenda for a public hearing? Do you feel you need to vote on that?
So that was my question. Do we need to vote to add it to the warrant? And when do we need to do that by?
Well, that wouldn't be until your vote for the public hearing is to recommend it to be passed at town meeting.
Don't we have to vote
But-
to add an article to the warrant?
Yes.
Since we're going to be the sponsor? When's the deadline for that?
This week I need to know, so today, right now,
Right.
yeah.
So I move to, or I can't make a motion. So I would entertain a motion to add a billboard bylaw to the
Zoning article.
zoning article to the town meeting warrant for the March town meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? And Hazel?
Hazel's eye.
Hazel, yes, so that's 5-0. All right. Thank you.
Very much.
Thank you.
All right, have a good night.
Yeah.
Have a good one. All right. Discussion of draft zoning articles, the downtown and sign bylaw. Jenny, what do you have for us on these?
So previously, I had sent the board the changes that I had done to the downtown zoning based on comments from the select board, and then comments that we talked about as a zoning working group. So we can absolutely talk about those more at a public hearing for the downtown zoning. There was also a letter that I had drafted and distributed to the select board with responses to their letter, which explained the comments that they had on the zoning. So I need to know if you have any comments on that, or if you want me to, and if you want me to send it.
So I will be completely upfront. My email was not logged in for a while, and I didn't realize that it wasn't logged in, so I got emails that I did not see. So I just took a look at it today, so I have not had a real chance. I've generally looked over it, saw your comments about what was changed. I generally agree with it, but have not had a chance to look over it in detail. So I don't feel comfortable making comments right now for myself, but I can defer to the rest of the board if anyone else has any comments.
Okay.
And then I guess before I hand it off to anybody else, do we need to vote to add this to the warrant as well?
Yes,
Do we want to do that right now?
you can. Yeah, that was because for a public hearing, you all had expressed early on that you want it earlier rather than closer to town meeting. So we would want this to be on the warrant for February, not on the warrant, on the planning board agenda for February 3rd for the first public hearing. And town meeting is March 21st.
So I would entertain a motion to add a warrant article for the downtown, it's two separate articles, right?
Downtown zoning.
Downtown zoning, I'll do this, I'll make two example motions. I'd entertain a motion to add a warrant article for the downtown zoning for the March 2026 town meeting, annual town meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? And Hazel?
Hazel's yes.
Hazel is a yes, so that's 5-0 approved. I would also sorry? Yes.
Yes, sorry.
I would also entertain a motion to add a sign, can't speak right now, to add a sign zoning article to the town meeting warrant for annual town meeting.
Downtown?
Do you want to talk
Downtown.
about the sign bylaw first? I know last time, Hazel's talking. Last time you had concerns about adding it. I do have comments. The Economic Development Coordinator left. But she had comments she wanted me to read to you all about it.
My concern, that's fine, we can talk about it. My concern is if this meeting is the deadline to do it, I'd rather add it and take it off than think about it and then not have it on.
Okay, I think Hazel has something. Turn down your volume. Yep.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I thought that we had talked about the fact that we would wait and put this one on in October. I think putting too many zoning articles, if we now have the billboard bylaw, we have the downtown one, and we still have the confusion in the community about the change in the downtown peanut or whatever we're talking about. And I know, John, you expressed the thought that, yes, we should put it on and then we could always take it off. But I would actually prefer to see this done in October. I feel that the sign bylaw, that one concerns me because I think it's too long. I think it's too complicated. I think there's a lot of work that needs to be done. And I would prefer to concentrate at this point on getting the downtown one passed and then having the town make their decisions as far as the billboard.
All right, thank you, Hazel. I think that makes sense, but Jenny, can we hear the comments from?
Yeah, I'll read the comments. And we were contracted with the consultant to have a presentation to the planning board on what they came up with, which I had tentatively scheduled for January 20th. So I would encourage the board to continue with that, even if you don't put it on the warrant. So we do have more time if you want to wait we could still take it off because the warrant wouldn't close by that time. You could decide after that presentation on the 20th if you want to put it on, or take it off, I mean. But I'll read the comments from Laura Crawford, the Economic Development Coordinator, speaking about the sign bylaw zoning changes. Many businesses in our community and even some professional sign companies struggle to understand our current standards. They're often unsure whether they need to go before the DRB, and too often they submit incomplete or incorrect documentation with their building permit applications. The result, delays that can stretch on for months just to install a sign. Through the branding and wayfinding grant we received, we were able to hire a consultant to take a close look at our existing bylaw. That consultant didn't just review it, they compared it to best practices in other towns, identified straightforward improvements, and even brought in a graphic designer to help make the standards clearer and more user-friendly. Speaking as a staff member who works directly with businesses every day, helping them navigate our permitting process, I truly believe that if these zoning updates are approved at town meeting, the benefits will be significant. We will save time, we will reduce costs, we will ease the burden on staff. Most importantly, we will give businesses a clearer, faster path to opening their doors and succeeding here in Westborough. I hope this committee will approve these updates and make the decision to bring them to town meeting in March. In doing so, we will take a meaningful step toward creating a more predictable, efficient, and business-friendly permitting process for our community.
Great, thank you. Comments, questions, thoughts?
I agree with Hazel that it feels like a lot for one meeting. I do wonder if it would be beneficial if when sharing the zoning article to give like, hey, here, there's a lot of changes, here's a little bit of a roadmap. But maybe that's not helpful for people, but I think giving context is always helpful.
Yeah.
And this sign bylaw is for the whole community, just to be clear. It's for all of Westborough, not just downtown. And I heard that comment earlier. I just want to clarify for the public and you all.
Yes, thank you.
Raise.
Oh, volume down.
Okay, now can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, I'm sorry, I have to keep moving back and forth. I don't entirely agree with the economic development letter, mainly because I sit on the design review board. And we are the people that have been looking at signs. I've been looking at signs for years with them and with the Historical Commission. I do think that we in the design review had gotten it down to a manageable handout that we were giving to people who came to look for signs. So I think that we're over confusing all this at this particular time, and I think the design review board has been able to deal with businesses. There are not long waits for people to get their signs. The design review board doesn't make people come back and forth 10 times to look at things. So I really think that, we're putting something in place that maybe we need to really think about and not overcomplicate, which is, I think, what we're doing at this particular time. If the rest of the board wants to put it on at this time, listen to the consultant and then make a decision as to whether or not it ought to go before the town. That's fine. That's up to the rest of the board. But I really stand by my feeling at this point that I feel that this ought to not be on at this particular time and should be on in October, and that I do not feel that the way we've been dealing with signs in town has not really been detrimental to those members of the community or the businesses in the community.
All right, thank you, Hazel.
So, Hazel, are you saying that we just scrap this until after March town meeting altogether?
No, Hazel said she would be fine if we put it on, had the consultant presentation on the 20th, and then decided to either move forward or take it off.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
So we have to finish out our work with the consultant. That's on a time schedule. We have a contract with them. But the end product, you don't have to bring to March town meeting. You could decide to bring it to October, but we still need to have that presentation in the next month or so.
I do think, I guess I can't speak to the complexities of getting a sign approved, but I do think as we're trying to attract more businesses, I believe we don't allow for like the chalkboard. I think we don't allow for like any kind of overhang outwards off. I think just updating and refreshing some of our sign, like some of what's in the bylaw would be a valuable exercise.
Will this bylaw do that?
I don't know.
It does add clarification on a lot of things and modernizes it. In it. We did have some comments that staff did that we sent to the consultant, and I did distribute it to the board, so please, any comments, send to me so I can give them to the consultant before he even comes back on the 20th. It is long, as Hazel insinuated. Signage can be very complicated because, we want some guidelines. We can't dictate what the content is on a sign, but we can talk about the size and what types of signs we want to see. So we're trying to find that balance, but, I'll go with the board's direction.
Yeah. Right now, I'm leaning towards putting it on the January 20th, putting it on the warrant, putting on the January 20th agenda, and then making a decision then. I guess I'm just thinking strategically. At town meeting, zoning is at the end. It's always at the end. We have a very large downtown zoning proposal. If there are a ton of other articles, finance, anything else that are on the warrant, and it's a 30-article, 40-article town meeting, and then we've got the downtown zoning, and then we've got a very dry sign bylaw, it could just be painful to go through and, misinformation.
No offense.
Right, like, I think it's important, right? But I'm just, knowing how town meeting has worked, particularly with zoning articles, they're technical, they're ripe for misinterpretation. So I would be okay moving forward to January 20th and then making a decision then, and then, I'm okay putting it off until October. I don't want to make it harder for economic development in between, but I also don't want it to go to March town meeting, have people confused, vote it down, and then we have to start all over again. So that's where I stand on this.
So if you want to vote to place it on the warrant, so I'll
yes.
submit it for the warrant, but the warrant won't close until, I don't know the date.
Even if the warrant,
Sometime in February or early March.
even if the warrant did close and we didn't take the article off, we could always recommend to pass over.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And give that explanation, like it's a dry, long, dry, technical thing that we want the public to have enough time to process and talk about.
Is that why you haven't read it?
Yeah. Okay, so we didn't. No comment. We didn't take a vote on that, correct? On the article, all right. So I'd entertain a motion to add the sign bylaw zoning article to the annual town meeting warrant as a placeholder.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Hazel?
She says no.
Hazel's a yes, so that's 5-0.
No,
All right.
wait,
We also have
Oh, wait.
that letter.
John,
John?
Turn down your volume, Hazel.
sorry, John,
Yes.
Yeah.
hello, John?
Yes.
He says, he's hearing you.
Okay, no, I'm voting against it,
Oh, you voted against it. Okay, so it's 4-1. Sorry, Hazel.
right, and I'm voting against it for the reasons I gave, but the other thing is that,
So Hazel, just to be clear, that's to add it to the warrant, not to make a recommendation to town meeting.
no, I understand that. Wait a minute. Now, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
No, it's still loud.
No, I'm voting against it because
It's still, we still can't hear you, Hazel.
Can you hear me now?
It's still echoing. I don't know.
Turn the volume down on your computer.
There. How about that?
That's good.
Okay. What I'm saying is I'm voting against it because I am perfectly happy to have the presentation made, but I really feel strongly that we should not put it on the warrant or even talk about it at this point. I'm happy to see the presentation.
Okay.
But I'm going to vote against it because I don't want it even thought about putting it on the warrant at this time because I don't think it's appropriate.
Okay, thank you.
So does the board want me to advertise it for the public hearing on February 3rd? So on February 3rd, we would advertise to have the downtown zoning and the billboard at a public hearing. We can hold off on and do the sign bylaw as a separate legal notice until you decide on January 20th on whether you want to keep it on the warrant. But I just need to know now because of the legal ad deadlines.
I'm fine with that.
Which one?
What you said, do
Advertising
downtown
for-
billboard on the 3rd, and then we can push off.
Okay, advertise it
Yes.
separately?
Yes.
Okay. So you'll make a decision on the 20th on whether to keep it on the warrant?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
John, before
Yes.
we move on, the letter, Jenny, that you wrote, that's going to go back to select board? know
I haven't had a chance to take a look at it, so if the board is comfortable with it and wants to vote on that, we can.
Any comments from you?
I'm just speaking to the mic, sorry.
Any comments from you guys on that?
No.
No.
Did you have a chance to look at it?
Yes.
Okay.
Did you, Hazel, have a chance to look at it?
When did you send it?
December 18th?
No.
I'll have to go back and look at it. I'm sorry. I'm sure, I know I read, but I quite frankly can't remember at this point.
Okay. I'm fine if you all want to hold the vote or take the vote.
I
It's
mean, do you think they need to get a response in case they want to respond back to us? Or
well,
The
so,
hearing is February 3rd.
yeah, so I will tell them that the hearing is February 3rd, and if on January 20th you all want to vote then I'll send the letter out the next day to make sure that in the letter they know it's February 3rd. But even between now and then, I can send an email to the town manager and tell her, can you please let the select board know that we're going to respond to their letter, but also the public hearing is scheduled for February 3rd, so that they're aware that there's that time. I also have to give a presentation to them on both of these items, so
when would that meeting be?
I'm not sure. I would have to schedule it with them. But
We can
I
hold
would
it.
probably ask for, I'll have to look at do they have one after the 20th? Yeah, so maybe the 27th if they have a meeting on that night.
All right, then let's just hold it, and that way John and Hazel can take a look.
Okay.
And then we can deal with it on the 20th, and then that gives them enough time to get us a response before you go meet with them on the 27th.
Okay.
And then related to the downtown zoning, we had talked about me doing office hours at the library, starting on Friday. We have a development team meeting on Friday morning. Happy to go after that.
Okay.
But how, do we want to advertise that? Do we want to, how do we
I
want to?
can add it on, we can do an advertisement on the website and on Facebook.
Okay.
If you just let me know the hours.
When do you think the meeting's going to be over? 10 to 11:30?
Yeah.
Do an hour, 10 to
I think
11
10 to
on
11.
Friday, and then do, because the plan was to do like 9 to 11.
Okay.
But this Friday won't work that way, because we have the meeting at 9.
Sorry, go ahead.
Is it?
I wonder if the office hours are I mean, I think great, but I wonder if it would be more beneficial after, like a new, like, presentation. like,
It was going to be recurring every Friday.
okay.
And it's general
General.
things, not just,
Yeah.
Oh, sure,
what-
sure,
yeah.
General
sure.
planning.
Great.
I mean, if people want to talk about downtown zoning, that's fine. If they want to talk about traffic circle, that's fine. If they want to talk about
Okay.
whatever,
okay.
billboards.
Then we will advertise that for 10 to 11 on Friday, and then it'll be at the library.
Yep. And I encourage other board members to find opportunities like that. Or join me.
There you go.
Well,
As long as you don't have
I
a
was gonna
quorum.
say, as long as, yeah, can't have too many of us.
Can't make decisions.
Okay.
Okay.
You good?
All right. Planning department updates.
I will let Kristen speak on a recent grant of sorts that we received. Well, CMRPC, our regional planning agency, received, but it involves us.
We discussed, do we have more to discuss on the downtown? No.
If you had questions or comments, we could, but no.
I guess, to me, I still, I'm trying to think about how we are, when we're bringing it back to town meeting, how we're able to simplify, and like specifically address some of the concerns that came up at the last town meeting. So I don't know how we want to do that.
That might be a topic for the hearing.
That's fair. I guess just to, I mean, this is when we're talking before
Yeah.
the hearing, right? So, maybe we talk about the hearing, like, is the plan for the hearing that there would be an updated presentation on what that looks like? Okay,
Yeah, I'll give an updated presentation on the changes that we're suggesting as a result of the town meeting comments, and then
Okay.
comments from the select board, and then any additional comments that we received on the zoning.
okay.
But if you have any suggestions before that,
Yeah, not at this time, but yeah.
So one of the things that we had talked about is doing some type of like zoning 101 before the hearing, right? Or as part of the hearing. Give an overview as to what zoning is, how it operates, what you can and can't do, that kind of stuff, to make everyone kind of start on the same page.
Yes.
So that, I mean, that was a plan, but if there's anything else that you wanted to,
Yeah, I guess I'm just
Talk
thinking about, I think there was confusion in trying to visualize the districts. I do think it's more simplified now, but, yeah, okay. I was just trying to think ahead on that.
okay. I'll let Kristen speak, and then I just have one update.
So Jenny wanted me to share with you an exciting development of something that we are going to be planning in the spring and the summer this year. To give you some background, last February, I attended a walk audit training in Beverly, Massachusetts, and it was delivered by walkmass.org. Just to explain, if you don't already know what a walk audit is, participants that are in this training evaluate the walking environment and identify issues that impact safety and comfort. Along with myself, there were residents of the local community, there were various board and committee members and staff members attended. And then walkmass.org led the group on a pre-designated path and pointed out how to identify items that they could report in their audit. Examples of things that we found would be, you're walking down the sidewalk and then all of a sudden there's a utility pole right in the middle, and now the area to get by isn't big enough for someone that might be in a wheelchair. Or you're walking on the sidewalk and it suddenly ends. Or you're on the sidewalk and there's no ramp to get down into the street area. So like all of those types of things, they kind of walk you around, they point it out, they get people's wheels like turning, like in your community, you could be looking for these things, you report them in the audit, and then when we were finished, we all assembled together as a group, we shared the results, and we talked about it together. People shared examples of different projects they were working on. It was like a nice collaboration. It was something I really enjoyed. It was in the middle of winter, which you wouldn't think walking outside in the snow, but that brought up certain points like where flooding was happening and, issues like that with ice. So I think any time of year is a good time to perform walk audits, not just in the summer. And I started thinking maybe, is this something that we could do here in Westborough? And you might say, why would we want to host something like this? Walk audits are helpful because they collect public input and data that could be used to inform our active transportation plan, which is something, we're going to be undertaking over the next year. And it helps improve walkability around town. And then the good news that we have, I was in discussions with CMRPC when we were trying to figure out, how do we host something like this? There's costs involved with the organization and trying to figure out how do we cover those costs. CMRPC applied for a grant and they were approved to cover the cost of the training. So one of the things we talked about, I had reached out to the neighboring communities, Shrewsbury, Northborough, Grafton, Berlin, and all of them indicated they're interested in participating in this training. This is exciting because now a regional walk audit training would be a great opportunity to collaborate on projects that promote the connectivity that we're looking for and establish partnerships for going forward. So I think it's a really great opportunity to get everybody together in one room and talk about our projects and where they might connect. And then after everyone's trained, so I would probably invite the Active Transportation Committee, Friends of BWAL, anyone who might be interested in this type of work to come participate. You get trained and then you can go out and train other groups that might be interested. So say there's a parent-teacher group and they're concerned about an area near the school that they want improvements on to increase walkability to school or whatever. And they could organize their group once they know how to do this to collect the data and then provide it so that maybe we get more safe routes to school grants, et cetera. So that's the idea behind the whole thing. We were excited that the cost aspect of it has been figured out, and then doubly excited that all of the neighboring communities are on board too. So we just wanted to share that with you.
Cool.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Great, thank you, Kristen, that's awesome.
Yep.
Jenny, anything else?
Yeah, just one more update. I just wanted to mention that the Economic Development Annual Awards Breakfast is on January 30th. So every year they hold a breakfast and awards ceremony. And we do have the Undersecretary of, I'm going to forget the title, one of the undersecretaries. I'll send it to the board. We just received the information today. It's of business. It's a new title, but Undersecretary of Business for the state will be coming to speak. So it's a really great event. If you've never been before, I would encourage you to attend. It's in the Great Hall, so this room at 8 a.m. on January 30th. We give awards to local businesses.
Great. All right. Reports of board members on town committees and CMRPC. Any reports?
Haven't had a sustainable meeting yet since our last planning board meeting, so no updates there. And I do have a CMRPC meeting this Thursday, so
Okay.
maybe I'll have updates next time.
Yes, on the Community Preservation Committee, we reviewed a number of applications for our first awards for the funds raised through the Community Preservation Act, and are recommending four right now move forward to town meeting. One is partial funding for Hastings Playground. There are two, I believe, as that relate to conservation, and then there's a pretty cool one about restoring some of a number of the headstones in one of the cemeteries in town, which is pretty cool.
John?
Nothing for me.
Nothing? Hazel?
Hold on, Hazel. Turn down your volume.
The design review next week.
Okay. I don't have any updates. So we have minutes from December 16th. Has everyone had a chance to look at them? Any comments or edits? Can I have a motion to approve, or, sorry, Hazel, do you have any comments or edits? No? Can I have a motion to approve the minutes of December 16th, 2025 as written?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Hazel's a yes, that is 5-0. All right, upcoming meeting on January 20th and February 3rd. Anything else, Jenny?
I just wanted to confirm for the February 17th meeting, I know John Pizzoni, you said you aren't available. Is anyone else not available? It's February vacation week.
I will not be
Okay,
back on Tuesday, I don't think.
okay. We have applications for 2 site plan reviews.
Okay.
Available? I don't think we're going anywhere, but
I'm here, yeah.
Okay. So we have 3.
I can't remember if I'm
And
gone in
Hazel.
the first or the back.
Yeah. Well, yeah. We have 3 with Hazel.
I will not be here, correct.
Okay.
okay. Anything else?
Nope.
Can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Hazel?
Hazel, yes, that is 5-0. The meeting has been adjourned. Thank you all.
Thanks, Hazel. Bye.